cheesy kid show. This is Kids in the Tank, a young perspective on business from high school students.
Welcome to Kids in the Tank. I'm Tommy Hummel, and with me in the tank today, we got Hunter, Jenna, and Damian. We are fired up about our first guest on the show, Jason Feifer. He's editor-in-chief of Entrepreneur Magazine and host of the podcast Pessimist's Archive. Jason, you are now in the hot seat.
Ooh, the hot seat in the tank.
Hi, Jason.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So, it's me, Hunter, right now. We were just wondering where you're taking the call from right now.
I am taking the call from my bedroom in Park Slope, Brooklyn, New York. My wife is watching TV in the living room, so this is where I am.
So you're from New York, correct? That's where you live right now?
I am now. I grew up in South Florida and then spent some time in Massachusetts and then moved to New York for a job at Men's Health, and I've been here ever since.
Okay. So, I have a question for you starting off. After being named editor-in-chief, Ryan Shea, the CEO of Entrepreneur Magazine, said, quote, "You have a deep understanding of our audience," end quote. How do you get an understanding for your audience, and is there like certain demographics that you're targeting in your articles that you write?
Yeah, so that was a very generous quote from Ryan. I mean, to be totally honest with you, when I took the job, the thing that I was most concerned about was having to speak for the community of entrepreneurship, because I didn't come up in entrepreneurship. I came up as a journalist, and that's the kind of funny secret about journalism, is that people who run publications are not often of the world that the publication covers. So when I was at Men's Health, for example, I wasn't like some jacked dude, and I wasn't working with a bunch of jacked dudes. I was just a guy who knew how to make magazines, and I do feel certainly that I've come to really appreciate and understand and love the world of entrepreneurship and are surrounded by it, right? I have a lot of friends who are business people. My dad is a small business person. And I have really approached my own career very entrepreneurially and in constantly thinking about how I can kind of reinvent myself and do things better. And that is really the core, I think, of entrepreneurism, is people who make things happen. And so I thought, the more I thought about it, the more I realized that, like, in this new world of entrepreneurship, I get it, because entrepreneurship doesn't mean small business people and tax tips. Entrepreneurship means a mindset. It means risk taking and problem solving and feeling lonely and crazy, and who hasn't had that experience? And so in this new world of entrepreneurship, this kind of big tent world of entrepreneurship, yeah, I totally feel like I get it. But how do I do it? I mean, listen, the answer is like any other journalist. I talk to people constantly. I say yes to a lot of crazy meetings. I go to conferences. I talk up everybody, and I love that basically every time I have a conversation with somebody, I feel like I walk away and I've learned something.
Yeah, that's great.
Nice. So it's Hunter again. I've recently been viewing your Twitter, and you seem to tweet a lot about advertisement and promotions. Is that for your business or other businesses? And what other social media do you use, and why?
So I really only use Facebook and Twitter, and I've been a little more active on LinkedIn since I started at Entrepreneur. And I really changed the way that I have done social media since I took over this job, because beforehand I thought of myself as having a kind of intentionally very irreverent, occasionally sarcastic, call BS on things kind of presentation on Twitter, and that was when I was just kind of representing me. You know, every journalist has this funny balance where just by being out in the world, you are in some way representing the publication that you work for, but you're also a kind of brand unto yourself. Every journalist is. And so that was the brand that I thought of as mine. And when I took over as editor-in-chief, I stepped back and rethought that, and I thought, okay, well, now for the first time in my career, I'm actually doing something different. Like I am now actually not just representing me or the brand that I work for, but I'm representing the entire audience. I'm kind of expected to be a and I hate this term, but I'm going to use it for lack of anything else, a thought leader in entrepreneurism. And so I didn't want to run the risk of being misunderstood or alienating people with kind of needless sarcasm, right? Because the thing is, like, you post something on social and there's no value to individual tweets. Like, in fact, really most of the time, if you're gonna tweet, like, the chances are greater that you will do damage to yourself than you will add to yourself.
Yeah, that's true.
So I've really taken a step back and thought, I'm only going to tweet things at this point that either are of kind of amusing personal interest. Today I tweeted out that my son loves the version of Pop Goes the Weasel made by Casper Baby Pants, because it's actually a really, really great rendition of Pop Goes the Weasel, and I just thought people would appreciate that. But mostly I'm sticking to like business subjects, and I just happen to find advertising fascinating. It's a subject that perplexes me at times. The very concept of advertising, to be totally honest with you, does not make sense to me. Like why would people take brands at their word, right? Like what is McDonald's going to say except that McDonald's is great? Like McDonald's is not going to come out and be like, McDonald's is terrible, right? Like they're only going to say they're great, right? So why does that work? Why do people trust that? And I just find that it works completely fascinating, and therefore I'm kind of always interested in insights into how it works and how brands speak to people in a way that is authentic enough that it cuts through what has to be a kind of obvious layer of skepticism when people are hearing from brands.
All right. Hey, Jason, it's Jenna.
Hey.
We have been doing some research actually about your past work, and we came across this video called The Super Secret Trick to Connecting with Millennials. Can you tell us a little bit more about the creation of that video and what you learned from it?
Sure. So there's something of a backstory that maybe you came across or maybe you didn't, or didn't realize the connection to the two. So I have long felt strongly, basically since I heard the term millennial, I felt strongly that it's really stupid to talk about millennials as some kind of foreign species of being. And I figured you would. Are you guys technically millennials, or are you
we're Generation Z.
Generation Z.
Okay, right. So there's plenty to hate about people talking about Generation Z now as well.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. Every young generation seems in some way foreign and weird to the older generation, and that is not because the younger generation is all that different. It's because the older generation forgot what they were like when they were younger. And so I despise all of this talk, and there's so much of it in the business world about, this is what the millennial wants, the millennial expects this, and it's like, they're not like a weird alien race. Like, they're just young people, and every generation of young people has been a little more, I think, free thinking and culturally relaxed and more in tune with the technology of the day than the previous generation. That doesn't make them really different. Like, it's the same it's a different version of the same thing. So that really crystallized for me when I created this Tumblr that went viral in 2013 called Selfies at Funerals. It went like crazy viral. I mean, I was for months. So it was Selfies at Funerals. It was a collection of photos that I found on Instagram and Twitter of kids, mostly kids, taking selfies at funerals. And I just collected them and I posted it to Selfies at Funerals, and it went gangbusters, right? Like everybody was talking about it. Good Morning America, Midnight, that Comedy Central show, the BBC called me, the LA Times called me, the Guardian had me write like a piece about it. It went on for months. Weird Al Yankovic referenced it. Like it went on forever. And it kicked off this kind of firestorm of hatred towards millennials that people have, because the millennials, they're so self-centered and they don't understand what they don't respect anything, and I said, listen, that's not true, but I think that what you are seeing is a couple interesting things. One is that millennials have the misfortune of being the first generation to make mistakes digitally in public, right? Like every generation prior made very similar mistakes, made, I would argue, the same mistakes. Mm-hmm. It's just that they didn't have Twitter and Instagram, right? So now the mistakes are public in a way that they weren't before, and that's very unfortunate for this first generation to deal with that. And two, I think that every generation has a different language that makes perfect sense to them when they're talking to their peers, but that when you see it out of context seems weird and scary. And I will say this, and you guys can tell me if you agree or disagree, but I was looking at those selfies, and I was seeing like a visual language, right? Like I was seeing kids express themselves in photos in a way that they perhaps didn't have the capacity to in words, and they were expressing, I think, a complex range of emotions, because when you go to a funeral, you are like, depending on what relationship you had to the deceased, you are not sad forever, right? Like there are going to be moments of levity. There's going to be moments of like self-reflection, of whatever. And I think that these kids were capturing that and sharing it with each other. And then when you take that out of context, as frankly I did, they look like horrible people, right? So, actually, before I keep elaborating, do you agree with that?
Well, funny story, actually. We were going to ask you about that question because we did some research on it, but you already answered it for us, so...
I got a little question or follow-up on that. How did you see potential in that? Because that seems kind of like creepy and morbid personally to me. Like, how did you see potential for that growing into something big?
Potential for that, potential for what growing?
For that selfies with dead people, how'd you see potential with that? Like, what made you want to collect all those images and put them on Tumblr?
So that was I'll answer that I'll answer that after I just want to make the connection that I promised I would make, which was that, so in my head for a long time was this thing about like, stop talking about millennials, like there's some weird thing. And so I had started a weekly video column at Fast Company, where I would kind of rant in a kind of young Andy Rooney style about something happening in business. And one week I decided to unload my feelings about millennials and the way that they're portrayed in the workplace. So that's where that video came from. I just kind of rounded up some young people in the office, and we kind of like half improvised that whole thing. And I was very pleased with the smacking down of the playing card tower, because we had really one shot at that and it came out. So that's that. So where did the selfies thing come from? The selfies thing came from me and my wife being in Europe one summer on vacation, and we noticed people taking selfies in front of the Berlin Wall, which you're like, it's kind of odd, because it's like, it is at this point something of a spectacle, and yet it was a symbol of horrible oppression, and it's kind of odd to take vacation photos in front of it, right? Yeah. And then we were in Amsterdam, and we saw people taking selfies in front of the Anne Frank house, and then I was like, that's really weird.
Yeah.
And so that got me wondering, just like, could I find examples of people taking selfies in places that just seemed odd to take selfies in? And what would I find? So I went home and I started typing like selfie Auschwitz, selfie 9/11 memorial, selfie Chernobyl. and I found all these photos, and so I collected them into something called Selfies at Serious Places.tumblr.com, and that went viral. And in the collection of that, I had noticed that there were just a ton, more than any other category, of selfies at funerals. And I mentioned this to some friends at a bar one night, maybe a month after Selfies at Serious Places had gone viral, and they were like, "Oh, you have to make one just about the selfies at funerals." So I did, and I honestly I did it because I did it out of a sense of journalism, which was to say that I just wanted to point it out. I just thought it was interesting. I had come across something that nobody else had come across, and I just wanted to point it out. And I thought that this would be an interesting way to do it and start some kind of conversation about something. And I didn't really even know what that conversation would be. And it worked. It started the conversation all right.
Worked out well for you.
Hey, Jason, that's Damian here.
Hey.
My question for you was, while in high school, did you see yourself entering this career field, and what did you want to pursue after graduation?
Yes and no. I don't think that I had a really sophisticated understanding of what the career field was when I was in high school, but
us either.
Yeah, and that's fine. You don't need to. You don't need to at all. I think to the degree that you do anything in high school, it should just be figuring out what kinds of things you love and what kinds of things you're good at and what kinds of things you want to get better at. And at that time, I knew that I loved writing. I had started a blog, and it was before the word blog existed. It was on. This is gonna mean nothing to you guys. It was on members.aol.com, which was like an early. There you go. Right. And so I did that. I also created like a ska zine. Do you guys know what zines are?
Nope.
Oh man.
Dude, you're old.
So zines actually exist in some sort of subculture now. Zines were like little DIY magazines that you would make on a photocopier, and they were often kind of collage based. Like I would write a story, I would print it out, and I would like kind of cut it up and make it into a collage, and then you'd photocopy these things and you'd fold it up so that it was actually like a flippable pamphlet, and then you would distribute them at like punk and ska shows. So I made that, and then I started writing because I was really into music in high school. I started writing for a local music magazine that was distributed in Florida and Georgia called Ink 19, which it doesn't exist in print form anymore, at least. And that was amazing. Like writing for Ink 19 was so cool because I got into shows for free because I was reviewing them, and I got CDs for free. I know you know what a CD is, though you probably don't own it.
Wait, what's that?
And I got to interview bands I loved, which was the coolest. Like top of my experience in high school was interviewing Trey Cool, the drummer from Green Day. Like that was just it was like the greatest moment. And so that gave me a love for journalism and writing, and I didn't know what kind of writing I wanted to do. It would take a while before I decided that I didn't actually want to pursue music writing, but it gave me something of a direction to look into. And then I got to college. I started working at the student magazine. I ultimately took over the student magazine, and then at that point I decided I wanted to be a reporter, but I didn't know what kind of reporter. And honestly, it's changed a million times since then. I mean, I've thought of myself in so many different ways, and ultimately, and I think the big here's I guess my big takeaway on this whole rambling thing. You don't need to know where you want to do a thing, and you don't even need to know what the thing is that you want to do, but spend time thinking about and again, it'll change a million times, and that's okay. But what's the core thing that you love to do? What can you kind of build out from that feels kind of real and true and not limiting? And here's what I mean by that. I speak to a lot of journalism students, and a lot of them are very concerned about how they're very concerned about the publication that they will work for. They have a particular idea of the kind of thing that they like to write about, or the kind of thing that they're interested in. And some of them will say, like, I love entertainment and I only want to work for Entertainment Weekly. And it's like, don't think that way. You're going to limit yourself way too much, because there are so many things that you can learn from other publications, even if you do not care about the subject matter, that you can put to use later in your career. And it's just important to go out and learn and figure out what the core thing is that you like to do, because the core thing, I promise you, is not work at Entertainment Weekly, right? The core thing could be like, engage in the entertainment industry in some way. And it's like, okay, that's great. Now you have a million different avenues that you can explore that. And for me, I have figured out that the core thing for me is that I like to be a storyteller, and I like to speak in my own voice. And I can do that in so many different ways. And I can do that by being a reporter. I can do that by being an editor-in-chief, by creating podcasts, by writing books, by doing keynote speeches, by doing things that I haven't even thought of yet. It's just a million different ways that I can do that core thing, and that core thing doesn't limit me anymore. So I would say, don't worry about the path of the career and all that. Just find what you love.
Mm-hmm. All right, yeah. Being editor-in-chief, are you still writing like stories and journalizing right now, or are you just more overviewing what's being put into the magazine?
No, I am. I write every month. Not every editor-in-chief does. I think it's probably rare across most editors-in-chief that they do. But I do it because of that thing that I just said. I love storytelling and I love writing, and I got into this business to do that. And a thing that will happen throughout most people's careers is that you will get promoted out of the thing that you love to do, because the thing that you love to do is probably a little more on ground level. And then as you go up and up and up, you end up dealing with like management and business side stuff, and just like, stuff that's not nearly as fun. And I don't want to do that. I want to always keep a foothold in the thing that I really love to do, the reason why I do this. And there is certainly plenty of satisfaction there's great satisfaction in steering a magazine as a whole, but to me that there would be an empty place if I wasn't also writing something in my own voice under my own name. And so most of the time I don't have time to do like long features. Like it's going to be few and far between where I'm cranking out like a deep 3,000 word reported feature. But every issue you can certainly find one or two shorter pieces that I wrote in the front of book, just because I like getting somebody on the phone and interviewing them, or going out and meeting somebody. I don't want to give that up.
Yeah, I for sure agree with doing what you like is most important. Well, thanks for answering our questions. We're going to move into our next segment called Flip It. You will be asking us some questions that you got.
Oh!
Yeah, a little surprise at you there.
That is surprising.
Catching you on the spot.
Yeah, was I supposed? Okay, so now I need to have questions. Is that?
Sure. Think of anything you got for us.
Wing it.
Okay. So here's something that I have noticed a lot in my inbox, and also I recently was at it's not, this is not a terrible thing, which is people of an extremely young age by my standards. How old are you guys?
18.
17.
18. 17, 18. Okay. All right. So like I get emails from 16-year-olds, 15-year-olds, 17, describing themselves as entrepreneurs. I was bit by the entrepreneurial bug, and I've already started like 3 companies, and it's like I think that's amazing, and definitely something that is new. I just, people when I was 16 or 17 were not calling themselves entrepreneurs. So I'm curious from you guys, either to speak from your own personal experiences or your observations of your peers. Where is that coming from?
Well, I mean, the idea of being an entrepreneur is pretty fascinating. I kind of consider myself one. I have like a boat cleaning business that I clean boats around here And I just find it fascinating to, work for yourself. You're not really working for a company, and you can kind of just set your own hours and go at your own pace.
Do you think that there's something about growing up today that encourages young people to think that way?
Totally.
Yeah, I would definitely say so. Like free thinking for yourself, not having it like come to you, like it brought upon you, like free thinking.
Right.
Definitely.
Also working at your own pace.
Yeah. And like YouTube and social media just in general really inspired a lot of people to start their own inspirations and like
think for themselves pretty much.
That's really interesting. I had this theory that part of the reason that your generation has so attached yourself to the concept of entrepreneurism is because you are well, let me just say it and then I'll qualify it. Because you guys are growing up in a very unpredictable economy and very unpredictable times. And I know that you have nothing to compare it to because you haven't also grown up in a different time. But what made the most kind of logical sense to me is that you are growing up in a time in which the expectation is not that you will find a job at some large corporation and be able to work there your entire careers, which is what a generation or two people thought. And instead you're looking around and perhaps you're seeing your own parents' experience and you're saying like, oh wow, I got to take care of myself. Do you feel that? Does that strike you as correct?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
completely agree.
Personally speaking, I know like when I watch my parents, they don't necessarily love what they do, and it makes me as a kid want to branch out and do something I do. So thinking that maybe being an entrepreneur, creating something that I'd love would be a very good idea.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, same story with my parents. My mom actually really came from absolutely bare nothing with having me at a young age, and ended up getting married now to my stepdad and owning their own insurance agency here. And after seeing that, it's really kind of motivating me to kind of do what they've been doing and kind of just
going.
Yeah, just kind of going.
I'm also seeing a lot of like potential and opportunities now. We're exposed to a lot more technology, I'd say, and I just see like endless possibilities. Like even with this podcast, like 20 years ago, I don't think you could be doing this right now where you're at. And I just see, like, with all this technology explosion, I see so much potential for it.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. So now tell me, because I run a magazine for entrepreneurs, do you what media about business do you consume, if any? And and it's okay if the answer is not that you have a subscription to Entrepreneur Magazine that you wait by the mailbox for. But I'm curious, like what you like to read, if anything, and where you're getting it.
All right, so it's Jenna, and personally, I'm very interested in economics, so I check stocks all the time, and then I also, not trying to suck up, but I definitely read Entrepreneur Magazine.
She's sucking up.
Sucking up.
Well, big sucker. You know what? But I accept that sucker.
But like I definitely do,
because
I don't know. I'm just really interested in business, so this entire thing is just. I try to stay in touch with business as much as I possibly can, so that's just me personally.
I watch Fox Business News. I've been doing that more and more often. I feel kind of old doing that, to be honest. But that's pretty much how I get my news. That and through like media,
Snapchat.
I guess. Like Snapchat has like those new
yeah.
pages now. You should. I don't know if you guys have one. I don't think you guys do, but that's a good way to definitely say to reach out to our generation.
On Snapchat.
Yeah.
24/7.
Yeah, I'd say that would be a huge hit.
Yeah, we're not. I don't think that we have much if any of a Snapchat presence, and we absolutely should. Yeah, no, I agree.
So if you want to ask us one more question, and then we'll wrap things up.
Sure. Okay, so I am curious to know if you think that the things that what do you think in 10 years will have become of the things that you're building now? Do you hope that the things that you're building now, you want to like build into a thing that you'll keep doing, or do you see these things as kind of projects just to learn from, and then you want to go kind of take those skills somewhere else?
Can you give me an example of like things that we're building maybe for the future? Like, can you?
Well, I don't know. What somebody, I apologize, who said you got a boat cleaning business?
Oh yeah, that's me.
Yeah. So okay, you started a boat cleaning business.
Mm-hmm.
Is that because is that like to make some money while you're in high school? Is that to like learn the service industry and then build a different, like a bigger company? Like what, like, or do you see, I guess the question is like, do you see yourself as at some kind of starting point right now that you want to continuously build from, or do you see this as an experimental time in your life that you're just going to kind of like try a whole bunch of random things and it's probably disconnected from what you're going to do later?
I would definitely say this is like a good starting moment for me because I'm majoring in marketing next year at college, and I really think this is a good opportunity for me to kind of like even just grow and get connections right now because I work for a pretty good chunk of wealthy people that have like pretty nice sized boats, and I just think that they're all like good businessmen, I'd say, and I just like to get connections and get started that way. But I see this as a definitely starting block.
Yeah, and like definitely with BizTank, we're just exposing ourselves to business, so it's kind of experimental, but then also we're growing our connections and hopefully furthering our success in the future.
Yeah, with me, I see it as kind of just building our foundation of really who we want to be in the future.
Well, that's awesome.
Well, go ahead.
No, I don't know. Sometimes you just like start making a noise and
yeah.
Nobody interrupts you.
Well, I got one final question for you, Jason.
Yeah, hit me.
We've heard some rumors, and we're wondering if you could confirm or deny them. Is BizTank going to be on the next cover of Entrepreneur Magazine next month?
Boy, those are some.
Hey, if not cover, we can take page 2 or 3. We could settle with that.
Yeah. We'll take a little chunk.
I appreciate your flexibility. We'll take it under advisement.
Well, Jason, we really appreciate you coming on and talking to us for our kickoff. We just truly appreciate you. So thank you for calling us.
No, thank you guys. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Quick shout out to Jason Feifer on being our first guest on our new podcast, Kids in the Tank. Before our next segment, Roundtable, a quick word from our sponsors because, I mean, you can't think all this equipment is free now, could you?
Hi, this is Mike Butler with Elkhorn Chemical and Packaging. We've been in business for 65 years. We're located in Wisconsin. We represent the janitorial, packaging, safety, and maintenance categories. We sell to small businesses all the way to large corporations. So, if you're in need of a cleanup in aisle 9, give us a call at 800-377-3556 or check us out at elkhornchemical.com.
Hey, do you need a kick in the butt? Are you working out already, but stuck at a plateau? Or maybe you just need to change things up. I'm Michelle Gerald, certified personal trainer and fitness nutrition specialist. My passion is helping others achieve their best self, and it's the reason I started Ripple Effect. It's a combination of specialized training techniques and the science and products of isogenics. If you'd like to learn more, please call or text me at 773-318-2400 or email me at michellegerald@gmail.com. Website, Ripple Effect, 4u.com, or catch me on social media, Facebook, Ripple Effect, 2 words. There's no limit to the ripple effect that can come from taking the first step, and I would love to show you how.
Welcome back to Kids in the Tank. We're now entering our third and final segment, Roundtable, where we will be talking about today's hot topics and trends. Now you'll be able to know what's actually going through a millennial's mind. So our first subject is going to be male rompers. Can we just talk about that for a second?
No, I kind of want to skip that because I don't even want to see any guy in a romper
Actually,
ever.
I got you that for your birthday.
I will throw it away. I'm never going to wear one of those. Damian, you seem like the kind of guy that would be wearing one. I could see that.
Absolutely not.
No.
Yeah.
Madelyn, do you think that a guy would be attractive in a romper?
Honestly, I think Tommy could really pull one off.
Honestly, it's the lake life kind
well,
of thing.
if you say so, Maddie, if you say so, I might just have to bring it out then.
Oh, God.
I might have to. So, guys, on another hand, what are you thinking about Trump's tweets on his way to communicate to us?
Honestly, I think it's a really good idea. I mean, with today's generation, everybody's using technology. It's a really good idea to get out to, like, our generation. And
Yeah, I feel like it's his way of communicating with us, trying to reach out to the younger generation. And, I mean, you can reach a mass amount of people at once. I mean, he has millions of followers, so, I mean, he can get his point across pretty quickly, as we've seen.
Yeah, no, I feel like it's a great way to reach out to this generation, but it's also kind of ruins him in many ways.
all right,
I see it.
Speaking of social media, what do you guys think about Snapchat streaks?
Oh my gosh.
You live by them and you die by them.
Yes.
Friendships are lost by those things. I mean,
Yeah.
if you end a streak with me and it's over 100 days, just don't talk to me ever again. You can just delete me.
And that's why I deleted Tommy off of Snapchat.
You add me back, though. A couple months later.
Yeah.
Ooh. But yeah, no, even if you're like not friends with the person anymore, you just have to keep the streak. It's a commitment.
For sure.
I don't see that commitment like
I see it.
It's like,
Yeah.
it's like, imagine that it's your job, like your future job. You just have to keep that dedication.
Yeah.
Well, Madelyn and Jenna, this is kind of a question for you guys. I mean, I don't see Damian wearing makeup, but like,
Natural.
why do girls feel it's necessary to wear makeup? Is it just to fit in, to look extra pretty for the guys like me? But
I mean, I feel like a lot nowadays, girls are all over social media, seeing all these celebrities with makeup on. And I don't know, we want to look good for camera, I guess, and social media.
But honestly, I don't think that it's really a necessity. I think that it's just fun to do. You know, even if you don't wear makeup all the time, it's just fun to occasionally like.
how often you guys putting on makeup? Like every day? Couple times a day?
Definitely not every day. I'm too lazy for that.
I don't put on makeup during the summertime because it's just too
Just
much.
sweats right off.
Oh, you're wearing it right now, Maddie? Is it
Right
because
now,
you were
you
seeing
know, I
me
gotta
tonight?
look good
Is that
for
why?
this podcast.
Because you were seeing me tonight. I think that's why.
Well, yeah. Well, on to our next topic. Fidget spinners.
Oh, no.
New trend lately I've seen.
I think they're already falling off, to be
Yeah,
honest.
Yeah.
Don't waste your money on them. They're just gonna be gone in 2 seconds.
Damien,
Hey,
you're
I'm
the
not-
kind of guy to get one.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
Admit it.
You're right on it.
Admit it.
I
How
bought
many?
one.
How
I
many?
bought
How
one.
many?
One.
One?
I bought
Okay.
one. For the when on that 1 week it was huge, and you know it was. I was
I
like,
could just
whoa,
see
this
you
is
in your
awesome.
room just doing that fidget spinner.
Yeah,
doing
I
that
was
little
just
thing
no,
right
I was
there.
even doing it throughout the halls at school,
That
and
doesn't surprise me.
yeah,
That
and
doesn't
then I
surprise
just
me.
kind of got rid of it.
If I would have
don't
saw
know
you
what
in the
it-
hall, I would have just slapped it out of your
Do you
hand.
think-
Just
I would have
crushed
loved you
it
forever
with it.
after that
I would've
because
stomped
I
on
realized how
that.
dumb it
I would have
was.
stomped on that.
Do you have it like during class, like on you?
I had it in my pockets, and sometimes I'd mess around with it, but I mean, after that, I mean, it kind of just started dying throughout the week for me.
Yeah.
By Friday, I just kind of threw it on my dresser and
All
started.
right, let's get off those fidget spinners. They're dead anyways. Let's talk about those NBA finals.
Ooh, let's go on that. I mean, I'm a little hurt that my Cavs lost on me. I mean,
It's okay.
LeBron still proved his greatness. He averaged a triple-double. I mean, first time in NBA Finals history, I'm pretty sure that's been done. But I'm
Yeah, but he was also
As
down
long as you just don't
3-0.
get heated about it. Because,
Well,
I mean, I don't want Damian to be attacked
I don't want-
again.
Oh.
I don't blame him losing to some super team Warriors. They have 4 Hall of Famers in their team, and versus LeBron. I
So
mean, good
speaking of the
matchup.
Warriors, how do you guys feel about Curry?
Cocky, hate him.
Respect him.
Okay, so
You take away his 3
two
ball, and
different
he's
sides.
literally nothing. You take away his shot, he's literally nothing. You take away LeBron's shot, he's 6'8", 250. Yeah, he's
yeah,
huge.
He has a size, and so do many other players in the NBA.
Curry, 6'3", maybe a $190.
Yeah, but he also has a smarts of the game and really knows
Doesn't
how to-
anybody in the NBA, though, that has to make it to the NBA? I'm pretty sure they're pretty smart about the game.
So.
Are you one of those guys that thinks Jordan's better than LeBron then?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh my gosh, are you kidding me?
Oh, absolutely.
LeBron
And,
will beat him. I guarantee it.
I mean, I'm not. When it comes to skill wise, I'm not seeing it. But when I see about
Maybe because his team was better too.
you know,
Oh,
yeah, I'm not gonna argue with many of those things with you. My thing is, I feel like Jordan has really shaped the game of basketball even up to today.
Oh yeah, back in the day when you used to watch him, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
back in the
Back
80s,
in my,
90s, yeah.
my good old days.
Speaking of back in the day, can we just talk about the trends that are happening again, like scrunchies and like one-piece swimsuits?
Ooh.
I'm not a fan of those one-piece swimsuits.
Yeah.
I want.
Oh,
I
come
couldn't.
I
on.
want-
I
want
could
some-
not rock one.
Okay.
You guys are
we
trying
get
to
it, you're-
cover up more. I mean,
We get it, you're
come on,
boys,
I'm a guy.
okay?
Two-piece bikinis. What's where it's at? I mean, I'm sorry. I don't even know.
Well-
what's a scrunchie? You mentioned that. What even is that?
Got it.
Oh, the
She
hair.
has it right here.
Well, that's why I wouldn't know
It's
what that is.
basically
Little hair.
Puffy hair tie.
My
like,
bad, well.
it's just-
It was like in the 80s. It was big, right?
There's
Yeah, I
some-
guess.
Yeah,
And
I
then
mean-
chokers are making a comeback too.
All right, what
Heck
about
yeah.
overalls?
No.
Jenna,
Oh,
you probably have
oh.
like 10 chokers.
I
every
have
color
like
of the
4.
rainbow.
I have 4.
Why aren't you wearing it right now? You should have put that thing on.
They didn't match.
Do it for the podcast. Come on.
For the
Next time.
podcast, absolutely.
Well, with me going off to college next year, I'm kind of pissed about this tuition cost. I mean, it's kind of outrageous. Out of state.
Yeah, out of state. Like, why didn't you just, like, stay in state?
Because I'm not trying to stay around here anymore. I'm trying to move, go to a different state, have some fun, live a little.
What do you say, though, that's also the expense of traveling?
I mean, it's like 2 gas tanks away. I wouldn't say that's really expensive for me. It's
where are you going to college at?
Ohio.
Mm.
Oh, I don't know. Are you driving Prius? Or?
You went from
Fusion grind. Come on, that Ford Fusion.
You went from Wisconsin to Ohio, and you thought that was a good idea?
Well, I mean, it's better than staying around here for another 20 years. I'm not saying that's bad, but I'm trying to get out of here.
All right, that's fair, I guess.
Unfortunate.
But, I mean, I guess you're not lazy and just, like, don't want to stay around here your entire life.
Yeah, at least I'm doing something productive with my life, not just staying around here. There's a lot of laziness, I'd say, in this upcoming generation that doesn't want anything and wants it all handed to them, I'd say.
Especially, like, during athletics, I noticed while watching some of Delvin's games.
Kind of hurt. How many games did you go to, Jenna? I didn't see you at any basketball game, actually.
I actually did.
Which one? The Bigfoot Delvin game?
No, it was towards the end of the season, like the senior night, I think.
Oh, well, I didn't play in that.
All right,
game,
so why do you guys feel like sports are dying out at schools?
I think it's just, like, based upon where you're at, because I know that Bigfoot, they're, like, we're really rocketing. Yeah, we're really doing well.
Yeah, I feel like when it comes to school, it varies.
Beat you guys about 20 this year in basketball, just saying.
I feel like when it comes to schools and stuff like that, it just varies by tradition. I mean, if you're having huge math and science departments and stuff like that, I could see more students leaning towards there than other sports programs.
I mean, I would say definitely try to get, like, your friends involved more, because obviously if you're going to do sports with your friends, it's going to be a lot more fun than just dealing with a bunch of random people you don't know and you don't really want to know, to be honest.
So do you think that the laziness is caused by phones? Like the phone
I would
usage
say
in teenagers?
definitely that happens a lot more now, because we're always on our phone, let's just face it. I was out to dinner the other day and I saw a table of, like, a family, and literally all the kids are just glued to their phone.
Did you take a picture of it on your phone?
When I go out to dinner, my mom's like, if I take it out, she's slapping my hand, like, taking my phone from me, and I'm like, dang, my phone. I need my social life.
You gotta keep your streaks.
That's not happening in my family. Exactly, you gotta keep the streaks.
Streaks are dying out, man.
So, moving on to a more serious topic. After the Ariana Grande concert bombing, how do you guys think that that's going to affect the safety at concerts, especially with Summerfest coming up and everything?
I really feel like security's going to need to step it up. I mean, things are getting out of hand lately.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong, the bombing was outside of the stadium, I think. So it was when people were walking out.
Yeah, I think it was towards the end of the
But I still fear, like, large gatherings like that. I'm more paranoid now, to be honest. Like, which side of the stadium is going to go, this side or the other side? And I'm like, saying my prayers, singing the songs and saying my prayers, living on a prayer.
Wow, throwback. Okay.
Throwback right there.
So do you think that also is related to the gun control?
No, I mean, I wouldn't say that guns are the cause of these crimes or shootings. I mean, I would say definitely it's the people behind them and their motives.
But why would they target such a young group of people?
People are messed up these days. Let's just be honest.
Maybe they're just trying to get
It's just a defenseless group of people. I mean, these people are less likely to attack someone who was armed. I mean, if you see a bunch of teenage girls and stuff like that, there's a very low chance that one of them is armed, especially at an Ariana Grande concert. So I see them as they saw it as easy meat. And
I would say it's kind of sad though. Like almost every day we see a shooting happening, like on the news, like for sure. Like this morning, that shooting that happened, I was just like, are you kidding me?
I was just about to bring it up. Like the two representatives.
Yeah.
Well, they were practicing for this baseball game that they're gonna have tomorrow, and then two of our
congressmen got shot.
That's very unfortunate.
In the head too, so it's
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
The hip. I heard the hip.
Well, one of them was in the head, one of them was in the hip, so it's kind of critical condition, I think.
I'd rather be shot in the hip.
I'd rather not be shot.
All right. So, moving on to a little lighthearted topic. Should we legalize marijuana?
That's kind of a touchy subject. I don't know.
I say
I'll be honest. Maybe for medically, but I'm not even going to go 100% there.
Yeah, I see. When it comes to medical use, it's proven that it would help many kids out there, and it's kind of unfortunate seeing.
Don't they have some other pill you can take? I mean, they have pills for everything nowadays.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
no, I'm not doubting that. But I mean, if that's just the way someone
like. I see these videos on Facebook all the time. It's like these kids having seizures, and then they just rub like cannabis oil on their feet, and then they stop in like seconds. And I think that it should be used for.
Are they saying like smoking like can cure seizures, like?
Well, it's not smoking, like.
Or whatever it is, marijuana, smoking.
It's cannabis oil that they rub on their feet, and it like stops them from having a seizure.
But do you feel if it's being legalized for medical reasons that it could start being, dangerous for people? Like, if it's just sitting around, people start using it for, like, different reasons besides...
Well, I mean, let's be honest, it's probably not that hard to get it anyway. I mean, you go to school...
So, I mean...
I guarantee you can...
It wouldn't really matter if it was legalized.
I mean, I feel like it would probably cause more accidents, maybe, like, on the roadways. People driving high and just doing dumb stuff like that. But, I don't know. I don't know if I'm in favor of legalizing it necessarily.
Okay. Winding down, let's talk about our generation and business, kind of going full circle about Kids in the Tank. So, what do you guys think about entitlement with our generation?
I think we definitely think we're entitled to more things, and we just deserve stuff being handed to us, and I think it's pretty bad, honestly. I think it's a cause of laziness, like we talked about before, of just our generation wanting more and more without really working for it.
Yeah, like, I know a ton of kids, especially around Lake Geneva, since it's such a
wealthy
environment.
Calling it out.
Everything just gets handed to a lot of children, and they don't really work for it, and then I don't know.
Yeah, I see it as a lack of discipline in today's, I mean, not calling out any parenting or anything like that, but I feel like a lot of kids in this generation weren't very disciplined on certain things. They're more just very...
Giving everything they want, kind of.
Yeah.
Well, all right, well, that's it for the Roundtable. Roundtable was brought to you by The Ripple Effect. Thanks for listening. Tune in next week when we'll be interviewing Jeff Peterson and Mark Becker, founders of Geneva Supply and co-creators of BizTank, and this podcast, Kids in the Tank. A 1, a 2, a 3.
Zinga! Oh, I didn't do the thing.
To learn more about BizTank and this podcast, check out our website at www.genevasupply.com/BizTank or head over to our Facebook pages.
The cast and credits for Kids in the Tank are hosts Jenna, Madelyn, Hunter, Tommy, and Damian, with guest Jason Feifer, editor-in-chief of Entrepreneur Magazine. Producers Will Burdett and Danny Butler. Content producer Melissa DeBuck. Executive producer, David Polzine. Co-creator and director, Jeff Peterson. Co-creator, Mark Becker.